Hello! Welcome to STEAM Story Time. Today we will be making paper to pulp and back again. My name is Miss Tiffany.
And I'm Mr. Chuck. And today we're going to be making paper, you say?
Yes, we are.
Wow, okay. And then back again.
And back.
And back. Wow, okay. This is going to be awesome.
It's going to be pretty fun, especially if you've never done it before. It's very exciting. Where does paper come from? Trees. Around 40 million trees are cut down daily for building homes, furniture, paper towels, paper, and many other products.
40 million. That's a lot.
That is.
That's like a big number.
It's a lot of trees.
Wow.
What would Bill do?
We're going to cut to our friend Bill Nye, who will tell you what he would do. And I think he's a big proponent of recycling.
Recycling certainly matters. And even if right now, as many people claim, recycling is a waste and they just throw the stuff in the landfill anyway and they really don't do anything with it. Okay, even if that's the case, if people are in the habit of recycling, of not wasting resources, that is to the good in the near and long term. This is to the good, is to form that habit. I predict someday people will be mining landfills. There's so much plastic and so much valuable stuff in landfills. In the future, people will want to extract that material. And so the less we waste, the more we'll have. This is not rocket surgery.
So a couple definitions you're going to need to know today in order to do our STEAM project. The first one is recycle. So recycle is the process of taking materials ready to be thrown away and changing them into reusable materials.
Our next definition we're going to need to know today is pulp. Pulp is a soft, wet, shapeless mass of material. And that's what we're going to start out with to make our paper.
Okay, so kids, I can't stress this enough. Today, we're going to be working with a blender. And the blades are really sharp. You should always have a grown-up assist you whenever you're working with a blender. What kind of paper can you use? Well, you could use scrap paper. You could use magazines or newspaper, junk mail. We all get that. You could use greeting cards, envelopes. You could use tissue paper like you use to wrap your presents at the holidays. Is there any other type of paper we could use?
How about a napkin?
A napkin. Can I see that napkin over there? So before we recycle this, I'm going to...
Okay, so you want to use clean napkins, preferably not ones that are already used. So.
Okay, good thing you said that. So this would be a clean, unused napkin. That was very good intervention there. That would have been a disaster. Clean, unused napkin.
Dirty, not so much.
Also, you can use white paper with no ink on it. That's usually the best because the ink will bleed through, change the color of your paper. Basic paper pulp. So what you want to do with anything that you're going to be using is you want to make sure to remove any staples or other bits of material from it. You want to shred it, cut it, or tear the paper into thin strips or pieces like this. Like this. And Tiffany, can you demonstrate, since I almost ruined the napkin, how you would shred that in order to make pulp?
All right, this is a thinner paper. It's more kind of like tissue. So you don't need to do very small pieces. You could just do big chunks. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some to our blender.
Okay. But how much should we put into our blender?
All right, about 2 handfuls is gonna make about 1 piece of paper. So depending on how much paper you want to make, we're just making basic pulp here. So let's start out with about 2 handfuls of the shredded paper.
Okay.
Do you want to add that, Chuck, to our...
Yes. How much would you say that is right now?
Well, this is very thin paper, so probably this is not going to add a whole lot. So let's go ahead and do 2 handfuls.
2 handfuls.
Yes.
Now, is it just this we're putting in there, or do we need to add something else to make it into pulp?
There is one other thing we're gonna need, and that is hot water.
Hot water, okay.
Or warm water. The heat of the water is gonna help break down the paper. So you want it pretty warm. All right, and what we're gonna do is just add enough to cover our paper. Ooh, you can see that steam coming up.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we call it steam story time.
Oh, is that why? I thought steam meant something, but okay, that makes sense.
All right. And we can always add more water if we need to. So I'm just gonna start out with enough to cover our pulp. We're gonna go ahead and chop. And it's looking pretty good so far.
Looks pretty pulpy.
All right, let's take a look at our paper, shall we? All right. So what you're gonna end up with is kind of a, you know what it looks like? It looks like oatmeal.
Kind of does look like oatmeal.
But don't eat it, okay?
Don't eat that.
That's not really good for your stomach. Okay, it's gonna be like a grayish, pinkish color, and that's just all of the colors from your recycled paper running together. All right, there are various ways you can add color to your pulp. We have tissue paper, we have this paper we made here, as you can see, and we got this color using tissue paper.
Tissue paper, that's right.
But you can also use berries, food coloring, and even tea. To create your own design paper, you can also use flower petals. So like here we have some dried flowers, and that's gonna add a lot of texture to your paper. We've got some glitter here.
Tiffany's favorite is glitter.
I'm a little partial to glitter. We've got moss. You could do sequins. You can even use stencils to create a pattern on top of your paper.
Wow.
The last thing we're gonna do, and maybe Chuck can hold up the seeds, is some seed paper. And that is paper that actually grows when you plant it.
So, if you don't have seeds at home, one of the things that we have here at the library is a seed library. So you can come through our drive-through, you can ask for seeds, we can get you up to 3 packets, and you can put the seeds in your STEAM project, right?
That is correct. So that's a fun way to send a letter to someone, and then they can go ahead and plant your letter in their garden.
Okay, so making your paper unique. So, like Tiffany was saying, you can add things that you collect from nature, like you can put the flowers in there, or what is that, Spanish moss?
Uh-huh.
You can put seeds in there. You can also create gift shapes and ornaments from your paper that you can give to other people.
To make your homemade paper, you're going to start out with a screen. Now, this is one type of screen you can use. You can see we have a frame on the outside and a screen in the middle. But there are lots of different kinds of screens that you can use. We will be, for a short time, checking out screens at the library.
What do you need to check out a screen?
You will need a valid, up-to-date library card. And please keep in mind that our supplies are limited. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce the tub.
Ooh, the tub.
The tub is going to catch our drips so we don't make a huge mess in the kitchen or wherever you're making your pulp. And what we're going to do is just kind of hold the screen on top, and that's going to catch all of our drips.
So while I hold the screen,
Okay,
and then what's the next step?
the next step,
Using 2 hands, by the way.
back to our paper. So I'm just going to kind of scoop out our paper pulp onto the screen. And you want to make sure you completely cover the screen with your pulp, with a pretty good layer so that your paper doesn't have any holes in it. Unless you're going for a holy paper look. No. You want a really thick layer of pulp. And there we go. Okay.
Okay, and then what do we do next?
I'm gonna reach over here. We're gonna get a sponge.
Okay,
All right, so if you get your kit from the library, this should be part of, and we're just gonna squeeze out the excess moisture. So if you want to kind of gently dab so as not to pull up the paper from the screen.
So the excess water is falling through the screen and you're sucking some of it up with the sponge, is that correct?
That's correct. We
Okay.
have multiple things going on here to remove the excess water from our pulp. Okay. And you can even grab a small towel, if you have one on hand, to press the water from the paper.
Make sure to ask mom and dad before grabbing towels though. You don't want to use the good towels.
That's true. It could cause staining on your towel, so make sure it's a grubby towel. Okay, and we're gonna set this over on the drying surface, which is just a big towel to dry. Okay, and then once we have it here, we can grab this towel over here and just kind of press the rest of the liquid.
Again, grubby towel, not the good towels you save for the guests. So we just kind of dab it. Ooh,
And that's gonna catch any remaining water.
it's already starting to look like paper.
And yes, you'll start to develop some texture to your paper from the towel. You can even put your hand down and make a handprint, or use a stencil at this point to create patterns in your paper.
You'd have to have a pretty small hand.
You
That
would.
frame is not very big.
Unless, yeah, we're talking maybe fingerprints here, we could do a few fingerprints.
All right, so how does this look so far, Tiffany?
I think this is looking pretty dry. We can see a lot of variation of color and textures from using all the different kinds of paper. Even the basic paper pulp is going to have a lot of character. And then we're going to flip this upside down,
Okay,
and we're just going to tap it until our paper emerges from the screen. There you go. You did it.
yay!
And if a little piece comes out, you can just like put it back together.
All right, look at that.
Okay, and we can even, you can see how the pulp is completely holding together through that process. And then we're gonna let it dry probably about 24 hours, was what we did with this paper before it was really completely dry and ready to write on.
Right. All right, Tiffany, let's have some fun.
All right, have you ever thought about what you would like to add to your paper?
I could add lots of things, right? I could start with different styles of paper. Like you said earlier, I could play with color. I could play with the texture. What else? What else could we do?
We could add the daisies from your daisy chain.
Ooh, we could do that. That would be
Then
awesome.
you wouldn't have the daisy chain.
I wouldn't have it, but I would have great paper.
Okay, we're gonna start out playing around with color. Then we're gonna try out some textures.
So, Miss Tiffany, we're going to make some specialized design paper. Is that correct?
That's correct. We'll be making 3 different types of paper today.
Wow. Okay. What are the 3 different types we're going to be making?
We're gonna start out with some texture. I have Spanish moss here, flower petals, and of course, my favorite, glitter.
Glitter.
Over here we have tissue paper, and
Okay.
we're gonna play around with some color. If you guys want, you can create a hypothesis as to what color blue and yellow will make when we blend them together in the blender.
And then, are we also going to make some seed paper?
Yes, we are. I have some butterfly flowers. I have some forget-me-nots, some cucumber.
I'm sorry, what are those called again?
These are forget-me-nots.
Oh, that's ironic. Okay.
And arugula. So you can
Arugula.
use whatever seed you want in your seed paper, or you can mix several different blends together.
Okay. That sounds like fun. All right, so let's walk through these steps again. So what's the very first thing that we're going to do in making this paper again?
All right, we're gonna start out with our basic paper pulp. Remember when we made our runny oatmeal pulp? So
Right.
let's give this a quick little whirl in our blender, just to make sure that it's ready to go.
Okay?
And if you are adding different elements to your paper, some of them you can start out in the blender. So that's what we did. We added the Spanish moss to our paper pulp, and we just put it right in the blender.
So the blender will cut that up.
Well, we want to start out with pretty finely chopped moss. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of tangles in your blender.
Okay.
So I pre-chopped the Spanish moss, but this is going to add a lot of color and texture and interest to our paper. So let me kind of blend that. And now we've got some Spanish moss in our paper.
Ooh.
For the flower petals, we want to do those on the screen.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is just sprinkle a few of these down before the pulp.
Okay.
If you put it in afterwards, it will not blend with the paper.
Okay.
So we're going to do that first. All right.
So this first paper is we're adding texture and we're adding some excitement by putting some flowers in, some Spanish moss.
Some elements of nature. So if you went on a nature walk and you collected some beautiful flowers and you dried them, the paper could be sort of like a documentary of your walk.
Oh, that's great. So then we blended it, we poured the pulp into the frame, and now you're spreading it out with a spoon.
Uh-huh. And then I'm going to add one of my personal favorite elements.
Ooh,
And that is glitter.
glitter.
And when you are squeezing the water out with your spoon and with your sponge, that glitter is also going to be pressed into your paper. Okay, so we've got our flowers, we've got our Spanish moss, we've got our glitter, and
So most of the water has dripped out into our tub, and then you're getting the excess water with the sponge.
with our sponge.
Okay.
And we can move over to the towel. Oh,
And then the next part is we come with our towel, correct?
correct.
And I get
just
to
get
dab
the
it?
last bit of the water out. Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm gonna,
And we're also just making the paper nice and flat, so it's ready to write on. Okay, so now we can see our little bits of Spanish moss. Nice, lots of bling. And our flower petals on the other side. So we have really multifaceted paper here. Let's see if we can gently tap it until, so we keep our paper in one piece.
oh, that's
There it
nice.
is.
Wow, that's really pretty.
Yes. So we've got lots of elements of nature and a little bit of fun too.
Right, glitter's always fun.
And there you have our paper with texture.
And you said you can let this dry for 24 hours? Or you could probably also use a hairdryer if you wanted to speed it up, is that correct?
Yes, you can also use an iron.
An iron.
An iron will quickly dry out your paper. Once again, please use adult supervision.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So what's the next type of paper we're going to be making?
And I'm going to set this aside.
Because now I'm excited. I love this paper thing.
How about we try out some color?
Color sounds fantastic.
Yes.
What colors do we have today?
All right, we have a couple different blues, and I thought we'd combine them with some yellow
Ooh.
for a little science experiment. I'm not going to put too much tissue paper in because we found in earlier experiments that a little tissue paper goes a long way.
Goes a long way. A little dab will do you.
And we ended up with quite a concentrated color, even when we used just a little bit of tissue paper. Whoa, what's it turning into?
It's green.
It's a beautiful green. It's like a really springy green. Now you could leave it like this, or if you want to intensify your color, you can add in a little bit more tissue paper. Let's take a look and see. Ooh.
Ooh. Looks like a kale smoothie.
You don't want to drink this.
No, well, I don't drink kale smoothies either.
Even if it does look appetizing. So I'm just going to do a little bit more color and maybe a little bit more of our warm water. Right, it's okay to make mistakes because that's how you learn. And you'll get better at it the more you do it. It's a little bit of green. Feel free to add glitter if you want to add some glitter at this.
And look, our water is green. Okay, what do we do now?
All right, let's put it on the towel.
Oh, there's even a little glitter still in there.
Yep, some glitter got in there. Another fun thing about working with glitter.
It gets everywhere. The last time we were using glitter, I found it inside my shoe. I have no idea how it got there.
Glitter has a magical quality of
It's like sand, it gets everywhere.
traveling, yes.
Okay, how does that look?
And it's looking really good. It has this really sort of moss-like feel to it. And let's pop it out.
Oh, look how easy that popped out.
Yeah, I think that means we really got all of the water out. Okay, I'm gonna kind of go like this. And it's okay. To review, this is the basic pulp. The paper pulp with flower petals, Spanish moss, and glitter.
And then over here, we have where we've added color. And from our previous ones, there's still a little Spanish moss and glitter. And then, of course, my favorite, the colored paper with seeds in it to attract butterflies. Come visit us here at the Scottsdale Public Library at our drive-through. And when we open, come on inside, say hi, get some seeds. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.